Call meeting to order. First item on our agenda, public comments. You have a comment, so, agenda review, anything to add?
We have two items under number 6.
You need to know public?
Yes. So whether
Okay, 2C, village school update. Yes, Pat, just in time.
I'm late.
We literally just started.
Oh, my daughter just landed, so luckily her plane was
Well, let's just say.
April, summer.
Huh? Well, let's just say it that way.
Hello. Can you do this online? Close it out.
I think I am. Unless it's all cash, but I don't know. Let's try to
on
open
your
something.
personal devices that are really.
I was just on, I'm actually on. No, it's everything's here. Yeah, I did log on, I had to sign in.
Should we return these to you? Okay.
Yep.
Everybody get a copy? Okay.
Just go on the next item.
Sure.
This just got posted on Drive yesterday. This morning.
Yes, this morning, yeah.
I got the days to go to copy, so.
Yeah. Try to make it easy by putting conclusion.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Make sure it's under the summary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's very nice if whoever has these students.
Yeah, the tax director, got them all ready for you guys.
Oh, take it a four.
You guys,
Above and beyond.
you guys good with that?
Get a four.
Further discussion? All right, I'm gonna turn it over to you guys. You wanna go through this? That'd be great.
Sure. Jeff Keeler, Family Realtors, Brenda Litchfield from Concord Commercial. Thank you for the confidence that you showed in us and asking us to do the evaluation and proposal for you relative to the potential uses and or value of the village school. I brought Brenda in as a contributor to this because she has a great deal of experience in the commercial field. I do some commercial, but more residential, and I think the meld was a good one because my experience with development, and I've done substantial development in the past of residential housing, which is a part of what we looked at in the proposal here in determining value. Brenda brought in some experts in the field that she works with regularly, Frank LeMay, who's a builder engineer, Jonathan Hawley, who's an architect, Frank Merrill, who's a road builder and developer. We had consultations with the town planner, zoning compliance officer down at the town hall, had conversations with representatives from Pembroke and Allenstown sewer commissions because the sewer capacity or lack thereof in this building is a huge detriment to its development potential. According to what we were told by the Pembroke Sewer Commission, the current capacity in the school is less than what's needed for 2 residential houses. We found remarkable that it was that little. So basically the development potential of this, whether it's developed for affordable housing housing, senior housing, lot development is all highly contingent upon, the towns of Pembroke and Allenstown finally coming to a resolution relative to use of the capacity. Allenstown said they have the capacity for over 1,000 housing units. They're willing to sell, Pembroke the equivalent of, 600 units worth, 150,000 gallons a day. But it's gonna involve an agreement between the towns, and we're being told that they're optimistic that they'll strike a deal by early next summer. In the event that that doesn't happen, Pembroke indicated that the Pembroke Sewer Department indicated that they would probably entertain a waiver to allow a developer to put in private septic systems for whatever development is there. But it would probably have the caveat that if and when the sewer capacity became available, they would be required to tie into it. So you could be talking about a substantial upfront cost that might be for 6 months, a year, who knows how long. And that's going to be certainly a detriment in terms of a developer looking at the value of this if they have to pay for sewer in effect twice. So we're expecting that anybody who is a buyer is going to have a contingency that is subject to this deal being struck. So that if it's not, they're in a position to renegotiate, regroup, back out, whatever they might want to do. Looking at the buildings, obviously there's some substantial cost to either renovation or demolition. Renovation for a school is obviously prohibitive, you don't need it for that. Even renovation for elderly housing, while it would be substantially less than what's required to meet the school criteria, is still a very large number. We didn't get the specifics of, we didn't go into that in detail, but in conversations with Jonathan Hawley and Frank LeMay, their opinions, and I think it's expressed in here, is that if you could get somebody to take the school buildings and the land that it's sitting on and give you $1 and absolve you of any liability, that's not necessarily a bad deal. So, looking at where the value might be, and I did a conceptual based on putting in a road, and obviously we didn't do.
You can look at that conceptual with Jeff Drew on, almost it's about the third to last page. It's exhibit B. It's a conceptual lot development, it looks like this.
And what I did in putting that together was, I assumed that what the town planner was telling me relative to the existence of wetlands in the back right-hand side as you're facing this from High Street is probably going to preclude the ability to put in a double road system and tie them together. Where if this was all perfect land and you could utilize every bit of it, you could probably put in parallel roads and then bring them back together before you came into Exchange and Pleasant Street at the bottom.
Look, I just, so just, that's the maximum development that it would be, assuming that there's not much wetland and they can handle the slope, so it's the best case scenario.
Right. Now, there's a couple of other things here. We had discussions with Dana and Jocelyn Carlucci, who were highly involved in happenings downtown, and wanted to get their input and take on what they thought might be a highest and best use. Dana indicated that they would like to see, and I guess he's on the master plan subcommittee, they would like to see this go from an R1 zone, which requires 20,000 square foot lots, almost a half acre, with 120 feet frontage, to go to a V1 zoning, which requires 10,000 square foot lots. And the frontage is left, I'm not sure if it's 80 or 100 foot, but it's something less than the 120. So if that were to happen, then the ability to maybe put in a double road system might be something that could be considered. The other thing is a developer might look at putting in a cul-de-sac coming in off of High Street and going for a variance instead of putting in single-family or two-family, because R1 allows for a maximum of two-family units. Putting in something which would be pods of maybe, 6, 7 units per building, condominium type, and therefore shorten the road dramatically, get away from, and there's one other condition here in terms of something like this happening. If you look at the corner where Exchange Street and Pleasant Street meet, there's a little odd-shaped trapezoid lot right there,
Down there, lot split, in between 10 and 6.
Okay.
where it ties back in. That is actually a piece of town-owned land. Currently, if you go down there and look at it, there's a driveway that goes into the apartment complexes down there at the bottom and a single-family house beyond it. So I'm not sure how and why the land which is town-owned is currently being used as a driveway, but it is. And in order for a developer to look at doing something like this, it would involve a warrant article and an agreement from the townspeople to sell this piece to the developer so that they had the actual right to build a town-maintained road over it. So there's two major considerations. One is sewer capacity, which is much more important. I think that this small piece here has minimal value. It's already in a use such that they would probably have a hard time recapturing it because it's been used for so many years that adverse possession would probably kick in. So for the use of the apartment buildings that are down there. So we tried to look at all the different ways that a potential buyer / developer might look at this and to see what kind of value, if any, they might be able to derive from it. And we did also show the property to Cash. Rosemary Hurd is the head of it, and Tom Furtado, the attorney for them.
No, he's the developer.
Developer,
He's actually
okay.
inside of CMHC. And Catch Neighborhood Housing, which is a nonprofit, if everyone knows, them, they're the Merrimack County nonprofit housing developer. And recently, in probably the last 3 or 4 years, not only are they doing low-income housing or subsidized housing, they're also doing some market rate housing. So we like the fact that they were able to come and have their eyes on it for both of those pieces. So really, they're still very much a for-profit developer as well as a low-income developer, as far as subsidized housing developer. And they looked at the whole thing, and they basically kind of talked about this. Jeff has already had this concept, and they talked about it, and they thought that made good sense to them.
Yeah, they're actually an interested party.
They came back to us a couple days later and said they would have an interest in talking with, if, once we figure out the value, if there was reasonable value to them.
Yeah, Josh was great. He talked when he took us through 3 different times and was very knowledgeable, obviously, about the building and all the components. And, yeah.
Should we put you in a phone at this
Yeah,
point?
yeah, he's really generous with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Just one thing to mention. So Jeff mentioned probably 2 or 3 different scenarios. He only threw one out here. We used this one as probably the easiest, most likely. These other scenarios may have some legs to them, but their value drops because of the other contingencies that are needed to be able to get a zoning change. All those values are far less than this possible one. So we've explored it, but we didn't necessarily present it as a value, so it would represent a lesser value. The more contingency you lay on top of this thing, the lower the value that we're paying them to pick it up or anything.
and this type of a configuration could meet DES approval, 20,000 square foot lots with town water available, because you don't need to worry about setback distances between your well and your septic, or your neighbor's well and septic under this type of a setup. And this is a feasible layout that could actually work. And so the synopsis in here relative to what the value might be, I started with lots that are gross value roughly $75,000. And then we looked at the soft costs, which are the road design, engineering, surveying, wetlands mapping, taxes, carrying cost on the interest on money that you borrowed, sewer hookups, water hookups, all those things coming into play. And that brings it down substantially. And then as a developer, I can tell you that if you're not,
You can actually,
right,
right
yes,
here, so on, page, so in its, letter C, and it says development conceptual for the subject property, section D, it actually shows the write-up of the work. So it'll show you how, the cost, break it down to the subtotal.
so as a developer, if you're not realizing 50% profit margin on the remaining value that's there, you're taking risks which are far too great. Because these are anticipated costs, things you can run into that drive them up. Failure to obtain approvals means that all the money that you spend on engineering and road design and so forth is money lost. So a developer has to have a substantial cushion there in order to entice them. And in this case here, because of the school, we're not looking at a normal situation, and let's just take and say that the school didn't exist or wasn't part of this. A developer like Frank Merrill or Phil Gelinas, who owns Advanced Excavating and Paving, somebody who's a road builder would be interested in something like this because they could control road costs and they could realize profits by developing and selling the lots. But when you introduce the school into it, the risk and the cost relative to either demolition or rehab are so high that they take the value out. So the ideal buyer, and we touched on it, is Catch. Because for them, they have the ability to find funding to do the rehab. They can get federal grants, they can get other monies which are not necessarily something the average developer is going to have access to or knowledge on how to obtain it. And the fact that it has developable land, whether they got a variance or they did something like this, I suspect they'd rather go for the variance and go utilizing the land, which is the flat playground area down there at the bottom of Ball Field, because they could get the number of units that they need in there very easily and build half the road. And in fact, maybe put in a private driveway that's not subject to the road width, to sidewalks, to curbing, to a whole lot of other things that might cut their costs down.
Just one thing to mention too, is that on that schedule, you'll see net value estimate of land, 166 is the net profit, 166. Really, very few developers would even want to do something project like this and carry these costs for just 10 lots, not enough, and the amount of time in the sewer, so to carry something for probably 18 months to maybe 24 months is just not a profit unless you have a mission like a low-income housing tax developer like that. And we certainly would reach out to others beyond Tech. We have a database of other tax developers who do that in New England and do go over borders and go into each other's territory, but we would also really want to support Catch to be the ones that come to the table robustly as they could.
Right, that's the profile of who the buyer is, whether it's Catch or CAP or one of the other entities out there, because they're the only ones who are going to be able to do the rehab on the portions of the buildings that they want saved. And I can tell you from Catch's standpoint, they probably would do away with that first section of the building that's in the corner where High Street goes around the corner there, because there's issues with it. It's not all that attractive, and having the main part of the 1907 building as the facade, and then utilizing the strip of, the building in the back, which could very nicely turn into, each one of those classrooms and apartment. And then they light the basketball court area for community room, for the stage and its potential for arts and that kind of thing. So those are the portions of the building that they would say that they probably would demo that front one. They did want to preserve the 1907 building with the, attractive architecture of it.
So if someone like Catch comes in to develop this property, would they, after they've done development, what would they do with it? Would they become a landlord? They become a landlord, does that mean it's acting up?
No, we did talk about that. Their practice is to pay real estate taxes. That's their practice on their portfolio. Even if it's their subsidized housing, that is their practice. So, because they want to be a welcome, organization in the town, so their practice is, and they did say that during our report.
So it's generally the practice, but not a requirement?
We can clarify that, yeah. But they said that's what they do, and they would expect to do that here.
Yeah,
That was from Rosemary Hurd, the president, so she said this is something that we do, as we build it into our pro forma, and we do it as part of our cash flow.
Yeah, and I think the answer probably is, Dan, that they would, because they're not specifically a nonprofit. So if they get subsidized housing, they might be getting some beneficial rates or extended financing terms or what have you, but they're still the owner. Where like the elderly housing in Epsom, I sit on the board of directors of, that was one that we put the thing together, worked with the architect, built it out, and it got turned over to CAP. And it is a nonprofit, it's 100% subsidized, the rents are based solely on income and ability to pay, and I don't believe they pay taxes. But it's a different type, that's owned by the federal government. So different entity.
Yeah, I think that'd be somewhat important to know.
Yeah.
So Catch is an NGO,
Catch is not an entity, no, they're a standalone entity, but.
but I mean, they're a non-profit.
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, not a government organization,
Right.
they're an NGO.
Yeah, right.
Okay, because that would make a big difference, because if it's an NGO, then it could be subject to taxation. But if it's,
We'll clarify that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, just to be sure.
Mhm.
And whether it's Catch or any other entity, I think we're going to have, certainly conditions on the sewer capacity, because that plays in a very large way to the profitability or development potential. And we're going to have a contingency on whatever local and state approvals might be necessary to move their project forward. So at the very least, we're gonna be looking at something that's gonna have 6 to 12 month contingency on the agreement.
And even possibly longer, because Catch, we just talked about the tax credit, half around. So conceivably, they'd be into a round that will get approved at the end of next year. Or say we get it out of the market right away and they put it under agreement, they would have to have a contingency that says we're gonna be applying for a round in April, that'll get decisions in the fall of 2020, and they'll be closing in 2021. So potentially it could be as long as that, if they miss the round.
Yeah.
And if then they didn't get approved, and I did one of these projects in Livonia, and they went for it, and they were well scored and well set, but they didn't get approved, and my policy was the seller made a decision to stick with them and, wait another 12 months. But it made sense, because it was a very similar property like this, it had dilapidated buildings that needed to be demolished or redeveloped, so. Hard road to hoe.
As far as the sewer goes, what you said earlier about Allentown would want to have a contingency that those houses would eventually get hooked up when they came to an agreement?
No, Pembroke would be the controlling entity.
Okay.
Yeah, the agreement, Gene, that we're talking about is, and this has been going on 20 years at least,
Yeah.
I know that there's been discussions relative to who has control of and the rights of the capacity. And 10, 12 years ago, there wasn't any capacity. There was so many leaks in the system with the antiquated clay pipes and so forth, which Allenstown has undertaken to fix, that they've developed new capacity. And they're telling me that they have the ability right now to take care of like 1,000 3-bedroom housing units. They're willing to sell more than half of that to Pembroke, but an agreement where it's sold, not given.
Yeah,
I could speak as the sewer commissioner, one with my hat on.
okay,
Oh, yeah.
go for it, I forgot about that.
I do that on the other side.
When you have nothing else to do.
When I have nothing else to do, that's what I do. So, just to back up to give you a little more history, there's a lawsuit a while back, most people down know about it, which the Pembroke Sewer Commission lost, which had to do with the amount of septage that they received. They actually about a small business taking in septic tankers over there. That was the gist of the lawsuit. The arguments were made, Pembroke lost that battle. After that finished up, Pembroke requested additional capacity from Allenstown. Allenstown said, yep, we got plenty of capacity to give you, we'll give you $125,000, here's what it costs. Pembroke Sewer Commission went to write the check and they said, hold on a minute, we want a new agreement. Within that agreement, they want to take control of approvals of all hookups, and this is kind of where the hiccup currently lies, is Allenstown wants to control all hookups within the town of Pembroke. Even though we bought the capacity, they want to approve all hookups, essentially controlling development within the town of Pembroke. This is where the issue gets a little dicey. The Pembroke Sewer Commission is looking at alternatives to going to Allenstown. There are some alternatives to that they're currently looking into, but I agree, it's going to be probably a year out before any of that gets resolved.
So I guess where I was going with this, there is the ability to put in private septic.
According to what the representative in the Pembroke sewer department that I spoke to said, that she felt it was likely that they would grant a waiver to be able to develop this using private septic systems, but it would probably have a condition that if and when the deal is struck between Pembroke and Allenstown, that the units would then need to be hooked up to the Pembroke sewer.
Thereby,
That's probably true, but they're gonna take a double hit, there's no way they're gonna put those
doubling
in.
the cost, and
Yeah,
that
that's
profit
what-
that's in there is gone,
And so,
and they wouldn't do it.
Now,
It almost
if
seems
they
like
could get an approval where it said, let's say they did these 10 housing lots, and they could get an approval that said you can put in private septic, and within 20 years, you have to hook up. That would be something that would be palatable, because you would get most of the life of a typical septic system out of it then. But that wasn't kind of the answer I was getting as to what we were gonna
yeah, that
say.
seems, yeah, that's what I was, cause the typical life is 20 years, and so it's,
And part of what I looked at, Gene, when I looked at this, and maybe I'm wearing rose-colored glasses, is that I would anticipate that the Pembroke Planning Board, the Pembroke Zoning Board, would be looking at this project in a different light than they would, your piece of land or my piece of land that we're looking to come in and develop, because this is, in effect, town-owned property, whether it's the town or the school district, it's all has a bearing on the taxpayers. And putting it back into the tax rolls and having it useful, productive land should be everybody's goals. And if there's a reasonable proposal, you would think that those boards would bend over backward to say, yeah, we can do a variance for this or that, as long as it's staying within the density and so forth. Maybe that's too optimistic, I don't know.
well, logical. That doesn't necessarily have to be optimistic, but,
Makes sense.
In
Yeah.
laying out these costs that we laid out, we tried to be optimistic, we tried to be, at least speak opportunity, we don't wanna leave money on the table, and if we do go out on the market with a number, we'd like to at least try to achieve that. If the market comes back and speaks to us around these contingencies, which we're aware of, we're not gonna be surprised, and then we'll be able to respond. If, at the end of the day, we sell it and all it is achieved is a developer now is going to develop the property, and we think that's a win, I mean, for everyone. If they, by chance, are willing to pay $100,000 for it, and we're able to wait 2 years to get that and get it out, then that's an absolute heroic win.
And there is the potential that the buyer might in fact be two different buyers, because if we had Catch or Cap or some entity that said, we don't really want to get into the development end of the land over here, but we'll take the building and rehab it and start paying taxes on it and so forth. And if you could sell that on a couple acres and, you know, get your dollar to put in the bank, and get rid of that liability, then you've got 8 acres of land which has a value. And the value would go up substantially if this gets changed over to B1 zoning, if and when the sewer capacity is actually available. So, you know.
Although, my opinion, and I don't know if you share the opinion, if somebody comes along and wants the whole ball of wax and wants to reduce price and is gonna get it done, and especially somebody like a Rolling Mountain developer that has fortitude and a mission, right? And is not gonna drop out in 18 months and give us our $5,000 plug back, and now we're back on the market. If somebody with fortitude can hold a lot of water, money from them would be more attractive than more money from just a for-profit developer that is gonna, you know, they're gonna fix things under agreement. There's a lot of land out there in New Hampshire. You see it in the headlines all the time, with Pembroke's name on it, of how these developers are faring these days. And then, when 2009 happened, we lost all of our significant builders in Merrimack County. If you look around, we do not have housing development north of the toll, other than 1B, 2B, 3B. Maybe had some low cost, or the large guys that are 50 units or more, but nothing in between 50 and the guys that are in the 50 to 100 units, they are getting beaten up so badly that what they're doing is they're getting their units approved, shovel ready, and what are they doing? They turn around and they put them on the market, they're shuttering.
And having trouble selling.
And they're not selling it, right?
And I can tell you from the standpoint of the residential market roller coaster, I started in business in '77, and we saw the interest rates go skyrocketing in the early 80s, then they came down, and we had 82 to 86 where 20 to 30% appreciation a year created this quick bubble, and that burst, and then we suffered again, and it finally got going again, and between 95 and 2006, we had double-digit appreciation year after year, and then we had the crash starting in 2007. Well, now we're back to prices that are equal to or greater than what they were in 2007, and affordability in terms of residential housing is getting to be a tough pill for people who are not in the top echelon of earners. So we're poised, I think, right now for another downturn. And I don't say that too loudly publicly, but that I think is something which is a very, if I had a bet on the market being continuing up for the next 3 or 4 years as opposed to going into recession, I would bet on the latter. So that's something that a developer looking at something like this is going to look at very seriously, because as Brenda mentioned, you're talking about 1 to 2 years to get over the humps necessary to be able to get this shovel ready.
So we think the conclusion is optimistic, but something that I think we can get our teeth behind in the marketing effort to be able to get out there. We feel really good about who we spoke with, and we feel that it was solid market information. And yeah, I think it'd be worthwhile to get out there in a very quick window to get it out there. I know we need to adhere to kind of a bidding process, if we can do that. Get out there and work it hard.
I don't think that's defined in the policy.
There's something big.
Yeah, we're thinking it's 60
Go out for
days.
bid.
and get out there to all the tech, to all the developers. We know, between the two of us, we know a good number of developers, and we can track down all of these guys.
Would we even put a number on it?
Yeah.
We just get,
Yeah.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
yes.
put a number on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because, number one, the bid time that we talked about, we wanted to have it short enough that a developer that's interested is not gonna be dissuaded from putting a number on the table. But also, if we don't get a acceptable bid, we can just renew the bid process. We're not obligated to take a bid in any one of the bid time periods. And in terms of the value, I think, we're optimistic that something in the 150, 175 range could be realized if all things go well. But again, as I think Brenda mentioned, if you've got somebody that's a real buyer and it comes with $100,000, being traded hands, we would definitely advise you to look at that very strongly.
And lay them all side by side and look at the timeline that they would do, who they are, what their experience is, what their fortitude is, what their experience is. I've looked at a couple bids coming in, and you see the highest bidder is the guy that's got 5 other things under agreement, you're aware of them, and you know that he's gonna drop you like a hot potato as soon as he hits adversity, because he's out there trying to just figure out his risk and put $5 grand down. There were, when I talked about the bid process, we really need to design it in a way that makes sense for you and makes sense for, us, from the marketing business, dog days of summer. And, but I don't think that would in any way, harm us from just getting out there and getting it done. Catch is interested, and if they're, before they get their eyes on another project, I'd love to get this out so we don't miss them. And, we're in that window where most of the low-income housing guys have their eyes on a project already, so they've got their next project, we're trying to get their project behind that. So Catch has just, told us that their decks are clear for the next project, so we're looking. And, that's really good information.
And part of the thing that you look at from a seller standpoint, if you're looking at developable property, is what's the time frame, and, how long do you have to hang in there? Well, normally you can define time periods by how long is it gonna take you to do the surveying and the wetlands mapping and go through the processes, 2 or 3 meetings in the town and so forth. In this case, because of the sewer capacity or lack thereof, we don't anticipate that many developers are gonna spend any serious kind of money until that's resolved, because they're not gonna get into engineering and road profiles and all of these things and laying out hard cash only to find out the deal doesn't get struck and they're sitting there, waiting and waiting. So an agreement is likely to have an extended contingency time frame, period, no matter who it
Right,
is.
what it's gonna do is gonna say, the clock will start ticking only after that contingency is met. So say they have a 90-day or a 9-month window of approval, that will only start once the sewers, right, capacity. So say that takes a year, it'll be a year, and then there are additional time on top of that. So.
Or if a waiver could be obtained that was not contingent on immediate hookup, whereby they could put private septic in and use it for a reasonable lifetime, and then be obligated to tie into town sewer. So, there are ways to get around some of that, but it's a variance, it's a condition, it's a special exception, and we don't control that.
And for them spending money.
That makes, as far as the septic goes, I've had to do it, replace the septic, I'm like, why doesn't the town have septic? Because it's expensive, and I'm thinking the tie-ins are the house, what's that like?
Well, the fee for the tie-in itself is $4,000.
Okay.
Plus, you gotta make a pipe,
Uh-huh.
gotta put it in.
20 grand for a new septic,
Oh, definitely.
so.
Where do you live?
I forgot.
Dudley Hill?
Up on Dudley Hill.
Oh, on Dudley Hill, okay.
Well, at the top.
Yeah.
Where the-
And it's because, the simple answer, because there's not not enough density close enough by to have them lay all the
No,
pipe.
no, I know, I was like, when I had to
Yeah.
replace it, that was like, you know, so.
Yeah.
See, and I just wanted to clarify, given your role, your other hat, right? Did you get to kind of convey all your concerns? Or are there other concerns that we're not thinking about, that you know of? Or do you think we're being conservative enough in this
Yeah, I think
situation?
the sewer's obviously the biggest piece there. I hope, does Catch realize some of the challenges
Yes.
that inherent in that building?
Yes. Yes, we were pretty forthcoming. We wanted to, I mean, it's probably just our style too. We don't believe in any bait and switch, right? We do not want surprises. We want people to really know what they're running at, and that gives them the best chance. I mean, there's so many unknowns past what we know, that they're gonna have to have the fortitude to get to. So if they make an offer, you know.
Right. I mean, we were very candid with them about opinions that we got before, showing them issues that we saw with mold and mildew, with, some of the window sills moving and bricks that were moving behind the stage and a whole bunch of, and they were pretty casual about it. Yep, we fixed that kind of stuff before. Yep, we've seen it, we know how to deal with it, and it didn't really faze them.
Yeah, in the small world that we live in, the three guys that we brought around, of those three guys, two of them do a lot of work with Catch. And, you know, that one, Tom Furtado, the guy from Catch, said he's gonna give Frank a call and say, here we saw, see if they would.
So what do you need from us?
Well, our thought or proposal would be that we look at a list price somewhere 150, 160, whatever thousand, so that we have a number to put it out there for the bid process. We're suggesting a 60-day window, to enable us to get it out there and see what kind of interest we can get. And I really don't expect, and interject, Brenda, if you disagree, but I don't think we're gonna see a lot of offers at the table. I mean, if we have two, we'll be happy, and we'll probably have one. But it's because the building, the property, it's not a white elephant, it's a pink elephant, you know, it's that unique. It's got issues that, preclude it from the normal development pool, or what's left of it, being interested in it.
So specifically, we have a contract that said we were gonna come up with a value. And if you guys were gonna agree, we're gonna modify our contract to note the price, and then contingencies around that. So what we can do is write up a modification that'll say our price is X, and I suggest 50, because that's our conclusion. And then we define the 60-day window, and I'll talk to you, Patty, maybe offline a little bit, to say, how do we get into it where, so say we got it out on the market by, you know, mid-July. By the time we gather the information, we really need to be on the market and online with a good package. We've got most of it, it's just a matter of organizing it well and getting over a couple vacations. We don't want to go out next week, right, July 4th. So we'll come back to you with that definition and have you sign a modified contract that will define for you. So say we went 60 days, July, August, September, so we'd come back to you with and we'd be giving you any offers we got. Thousands of offers, we'll be feeding them to you. And then at the end of that, we're gonna have a date certain that it's gonna say, at this point, you're gonna make a decision, and if we've got offers, and you wanna make a decision on them, if not, then we roll it again with another 60 days. And make decisions based on what we hear from the market. If there's crickets out there, then we'll be talking to.
We need to do it.
I don't think so. We already.
We already authorized it.
Yeah, we already authorized
So,
it.
I have just one question, if it goes in at 150, is there gonna be a minimum number? So, like
You're
we're talking
gonna
about.
decide, you'll decide, you're the decision maker.
Okay.
So it comes into the buck, we're gonna be able to sit down and have a conversation about it.
We have a proposal that anticipated, that the numbers changing hands might not be a big one. and therefore we have a minimum commission that's in there regardless of what the amount is.
Or,
Yeah, and quite frankly, I mean, to me, this has been fun working with Brenda, and it's been a good learning curve for me working with her. But the amount of work that's involved in this property is, the return is less than selling a $200,000 house. So it's something which, it's like while you're sitting around the table here, you're doing it for the good of the town, and,
and the opportunity to work with Jeff Gill.
Who wouldn't want to work this out?
Exactly, that's what I said. I got on the phone and anyways, my mentor went, "What did you take?" I said, "I get to work with Jeff Gill." So.
and I get to work with Brenda. So.
And we're well suited for this kind of project. We're unafraid to tell you the truth. We're really good at, understanding the market and,
But we're gonna tell you the truth, whether you wanna hear it or not.
Yeah. I actually teased that we'd be coming to the firing line based on the report we sent you.
We're prepared.
Just a question about a potential offer, okay, or one or two. Do those offers, if there's an offer and we accept it, now is there an option if both parties sign that all of a sudden one part, like these buyers or potential buyers could say, well, these issues, in other words, can we be forced, maybe forced isn't the right word, to accept an offer that has some contingencies that?
No.
No.
Well,
Okay.
Tricia, maybe I think she's asked a different question. So what an offer's gonna look like is gonna say, here's the number, we'll say,
Right.
we're offering you $100,000,
Right.
okay, to buy this building.
Right.
And you're gonna sign a document, and in it, it's gonna be subject to, sewer capacity being
Okay.
available, it's gonna be subject to our due diligence, it's gonna be subject to us looking at environmental information, it's gonna be subject to us getting all our planning approved, and it's gonna be subject to us getting financing or our tax that's approved, and they're gonna tell us very specifically those timelines. So what we'll do is with that offer, we'll line it up for you on a calendar that'll say, these are the dates, and it's gonna be, if you signed it today, this is how it's gonna run out with that timeline.
So it's not likely that somebody's gonna come to the table and say, we're offering you $100,000.
No.
Never.
We're gonna say great, and they're gonna look at the lines and say, perfect, we know what we wanna do with the property, end of the deal.
Not unless they just, escape from the mental hospital up there, no.
Yeah, someone would not show up here and take the property, and give it to them. They would not do that. And if it was free, and there is land out there that's essentially free, land is it's over 6 years of inventory of land in New Hampshire. Because construction costs are so exorbitant, never mind what this one has.
And the approval processes are so onerous now. The expense of getting approvals is outrageous. If you have 100 acres of land up next to your house and somebody wants to develop it, one of the contingencies is that the town has the right to do a survey of the land at your expense for any historic artifacts or, old cellar holes. They might have to dig in to retrieve those at your expense. And this is a part of the process of development that, some of the absurdities that just help developers go do something else.
So I think San Ken's doing up there in the corner. That's fine, me too, so.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, they're gonna mothball it or put it back.
Right.
There's a lot of shovel-ready, you see, when the economy gets like this, you see advertised shovel-ready projects. In other words, someone has done all the work, got the approval, it's ready to go, you just gotta buy it. One of the things that's telling too is in Exhibit B, we put days on market so you can see what's available for sale is 298 days on market, which means when sitting and looked at it, it's a really dirty number. It doesn't include all those that sat there and terminated, which really never sold, right, that are also languished for.
And some of these, they may have had on the market and then switched agents and started the clock again new. So there's all kinds of things that can happen to skew these numbers. These are just from the current listing periods. But the answer.
We did put three terminated ones, which you can see, shovel ready and process with, 13 acres and it's 66 units, residential units ready to go, it's been on the market for a couple of years. I know Matt Bacon, for $350,000. And it doesn't have a building on it, right? For $350,000, they're going, but it's not selling.
And approved.
Right.
It's all approved.
All
So
approved.
this is what we're competing against. So if you have a developer come along and go, I can build 63 units or a portion of them, right? On 13, for 350, or I can go to Pembroke and buy for 150, maybe 10 units, and I do a slope and no, okay.
They're going up.
Or I can go to let's see, I can go to Pembroke, and I can get 50 acres on, for $700,000, that one's ridiculous. That would be ridiculous, I don't even know I put that in there, I called the broker, and I'm like, what were you thinking?
But to go back to your question, Patricia, in order for us to get into an agreement, a buyer who is able and knowledgeable is gonna have a number of conditions, as Brenda outlined. If they don't have them, they're not a serious buyer, they're not somebody that we're gonna recommend that you're signing with. So, in any bid period, what we're gonna do is sit down at the end of it and lay out whatever offers are, and then dissect them and say, what's the most reasonable, what's the most realistic chance of you divesting and maybe making $1 and doing something that's good for the town in the end? And that's the way we're gonna encourage you to try to head. But the ultimate decision is yours. I mean, you don't have to sign anything that's not, cash, no contingencies, which we're not gonna get.
Thank you for being honest.
Sure.
All right, any other questions? Everybody good? On the market, see what happens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so give us a couple days to talk to each other, and I'll get you a modification, and I'll keep you on that to look at what that looks like and what the timeline is. I just wanna think through the timeline, look at the calendar, and chat with Jeff about his availability. 'Cause when we get it on the market, we wanna be able to work it,
Yep.
and,
And what else?
I'm gonna be on next week.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, well,
Probably nothing's gonna go on very much.
No,
sign
we-
it when you send it, yeah.
What else?
I don't know. Who made the motion? I mean, you made the motion, so I think either one of us can.
And if it matters, we did say that, within 5 business days, we need on price, the property we listed on, so I'll modify this to indicate just a little bit of a lighter timeline, but this was already indicated, we would be sending a modification to the price. So it's a follow-on to this contract, which,
And if you wanna check on your ability or time periods relative to the wording of the warrant article, to see if that 60-day proposal makes sense or works for you.
There's no time frame, just in by the bidding process.
Okay.
And I don't think our bidding policy, I don't think we do that.
yeah,
I don't think it's talking about going out to bid.
I'll talk to Tom and Tyler, I'm gonna talk to Catch and say, their timeline is there that we have to hit, because it's out there, right?
Right.
If they say to us, boy, we need it tomorrow, then we'll hustle and try to get something to you. If they say there's some latitude, and we'll say to them, we're gonna go on the market, we're gonna go on at 150,000, you guys can start to when you land, you'll be ready to go. And we'll start making, having discussions with other buyers too. Okay?
Good,
Are there
thank
any
you.
other members that aren't here that you wanna have a hard copy for, or?
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you on a regular basis.
Thank you, yeah, he's a good guy.
Very good.
Thank you all.
Thank you
Nice
very
to
much.
meet you.
Thank
you.
Have a nice evening.
Okay, consider to D,
So we got the correct version in the drive for you, right away. Sandy talked about it last meeting, but you didn't have the final draft. And in the drive.
pleasure of the board.
We're looking at Pembroke Hill?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
done, but there were a
Right.
couple of tweaks that we didn't get to the drive last time.
What should we do, we'll probably do one tonight, because we're not
Yeah,
gonna meet again
no,
till
no,
August.
no, that's fine. Motion to approve.
Okay, a second? questions, discussions?
The corrections that we made.
Everybody good?
I'm going to, I just haven't had a chance to review it, so I'm going to, I was just gonna say.
All right. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? They both abstained? Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Before we move on, may I ask a technical question?
Sure.
I can make a copy of this so that I can move the agenda, electronic copy agenda so I can sign. Do I need to be able to do that?
Three.
I'm kind of paralyzed, but,
Yeah.
and I figure if I have that problem, maybe other people do too.
There might not be there's not a word copy in there.
Right.
There isn't,
Okay.
yeah,
That's
just
why.
PDF you can't
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah.
That's fine.
There
I
usually is a
wanted to
word
make sure
copy
I
in here.
was
Yeah, usually she puts both.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank
but
you.
no, you're good.
Then I'm all good, I can just continue writing.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay.
You can create a new document and just type your list of documents.
Here's the camera. Yeah. I already started.
All right, item 2E, goal setting. So, having provided what we started last year, I don't believe we ever actually adopted these, but we did make some efforts. I know we put a lot of effort into facilities last year for obvious reasons. So, these are the categories that I would say we've been carrying for the last few years. Doesn't mean these general categories need to continue. We can come up with new categories. We can save two of them and get two more. We can just come up with one main goal. We can really do, this is our opportunity to do with whatever we would like. You get it?
I did. I'm just trying to get to the team drive. I did.
We have copies of them. Yeah, I'm leaning on all of it.
Oh, great, yes, please.
I know, they give us these fancy pieces of material.
Okay, they're good. Get my name.
Yeah, man.
Oh, good. Oh, really?
It's a little more complicated than the word thing, but in opinion, works.
No, I just like to have.
My drive.
For, you know,
I didn't into my friends.
Here.
Thank you.
See? Another copy of that.
oh,
We're done.
yeah, I'm all good, I don't need it.
You don't need it?
No. Thanks.
So the goals are, oh, sorry.
Bold
so
are,
we-
yeah, no, you're good, Amy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, bold are the large scale categories which we've used in the past, and then we pretty much put the goals underneath each category.
So since we are a school board, I think it would be appropriate to have a broad category for academic, which is currently not here.
Good call.
Yeah, not bad, Carl.
I feel like we have to have the goals in the broad category.
Okay. People think we're gonna need new facilities again next year.
I think the ADA compliance stuff, we talked about this, you know, with the,
That we did. Didn't I, the school one, I did it.
You approved up to $15,000 to get the updated numbers for that.
That's right.
Josh has worked with the architect to get that. We didn't really
He was
add
very happy
the
to
money
come
to
right
the
on that.
CIP. He was a little quicker on putting money aside.
Yep.
That's it.
If the legislature does put money for, school aid,
School building aid?
I think that we need to be in a position to move fast on that. Especially because we do have modules, and it seems that there's a consensus might want to reconsider the length of the contract for the month. Or that, not the contract, but how long we
Moving that
actually,
project out.
yeah,
Oh,
moving
you
it.
were talking about building.
Hopefully not
Yeah,
having to
yeah.
renew, hopefully not having to renew the contract on the modular last.
5 years from now.
But depending on, that's the modular piece. And I think that also another complicating factor is going to be if any of those, housing developments do come, one or more of them happen, then that's gonna impact, may not impact this building as much as that building.
That building's gonna be close to capacity
Right.
when we open it.
No.
I think-
And,
Yeah, there's no wiggle room.
yeah, and as, you move forward with Allentown, that directly affects
TRF.
TRF. Because that'll put it at
Yeah.
capacity.
Capacity, yeah.
Do we have any big projects as far as utilities happening within the next year?
Next year,
Within the next year that we know of? I know Josh is usually really good to keep us updated with.
He's got the CIP
yeah, we've had that
laid
last.
out, but I think your big project is really the Hill addition.
Yeah,
That's
there-
Okay.
gonna be-
if you go into if you go into our last meeting folder, the CIP that Josh laid out, I believe, is in there.
The update, yeah.
Yeah, so, and that breaks out the projects that we're gonna be doing in the next few years. But I can't remember a large one in the next couple of years, anyway. I think the Phil is the next large piece.
As much as we're not renovating the school within the next year, I think we do need to do some sort of kind of communicating about that coming up, even though that might be years off. We need to be,
It's not a lot of years on, I mean, 5 years is gonna
Yeah.
go really quick, and
Yes,
that project
exactly.
is not shovel ready.
I would suggest that the committee starts meeting absolutely right away.
okay.
Yeah, 'cause we appointed a committee there,
We've got the volunteers, people are anxious to be part of that.
so.
Yep.
Yeah. But I'm like, the piece we want to talk about while we're sitting there, that committee. So, yeah, facilities, we'll keep facilities, I think, all great ideas, I think Hill, we need to keep moving forward on Hill, keep that, like you said, in the
So you
public eye.
keep the wording the same as far as that goes? Continue to,
Number one's done.
number
Number
one,
one's done.
yeah.
Number two.
2 is done, 3 is done, somewhat.
That's what we were just talking about, right? Oh, for TRF anyway,
Four is
or it's not.
Because
Four is what we need to do, so it's been established, we need to move it. Talked about the school building aid, theoretically, that'll come up in a 3-year cycle, that might be something that,
I think all right, to minimize
If the committee can get together, sooner rather than later, the DOE has suggested that people start putting in applications for building aid, because out of the blue one year, one got funded. There was money at the end, and they said, let's give some building aid, and there was a school that kept putting in an application every year, and they got money. No. I don't remember. Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
it was up north,
It
north of us.
was, yeah, community kind of signed off, and there was a lot of pushback on that because, but it was like you said,
Put in
it
the work.
happened to be
So
sitting
There
there.
is an application,
Yeah.
and they are encouraging schools, if you think you're gonna have a project, to apply, so.
Even though it may be 5 years out,
We applied.
just keep going.
They applied again.
Doesn't hurt.
No, doesn't hurt.
I'll, Kathy's here, so.
Yes.
I'll give her the name.
Yeah, start getting, planning meetings and.
All right, so we'll leave facilities,
Number 5 still.
Yeah,
Five
I think
still
3,
there.
4, and 5,
Yeah.
so I'm up for a lot of it.
yeah, 3, 4, and 5, maybe something on school building aid. Does anyone wanna, I was gonna bring up the Grange building, but, the Grange
Oh,
building.
I found out what the IOOF is on it, symbols. Yeah, we're trying to figure that out.
What is it?
Oh, was I here?
No, we didn't
Oh,
know what
okay.
the symbol was out
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
there. Yeah, I was driving through Epsom and went by the outdoor, so I thought,
Wait a minute.
Yeah, we wiped up the Grange, so I don't know.
Probably makes sense to be a facility school because that is a facility that we own.
Evaluate,
Well, yeah, that's one
evaluate
with the
Grange
trees.
property.
So, yeah, we need
That's
to.
ceiling falling in.
You must not have been here.
No, I was
Discussion.
here, now it's coming back to me, now, the IOOF.
The ceiling, the
Yeah,
ceiling,
no, that one I remember.
we
We
want-
need to do something about the Grange
evaluate the Grange
Yes.
property. And,
for future action,
right,
for future action, so
po-
whether.
possible sale or,
We need to put that as a warrant article.
Yeah.
Right,
See what
depending on what we
the
decide to
community
do with it.
wishes
right,
are.
but that would start with some sort of, you know, professional appraisal of what needs to be done to
I hate to
make
say
it safe.
a small committee for that property would not be a bad idea.
My knowledge of construction is still a small thing.
Well,
I think that's more, and I know it was the case on Village School, but I think you may find some historical, the people in town that, from a historical standpoint, are not gonna want to see that thing torn down and get new conduct.
I don't disagree, but do we wanna get sued because an apple tree is from?
Honestly, I think if it's gonna remain in the town historical building, the town itself should take it over.
Right,
That should be handed over, that should, the school district, I think we kind of talked about this last time, should not be in the business of maintaining historic buildings in town.
Mhm.
That should be a town, and I have no problem with telling that building over to town for that.
you get a
Then
phone call
guess
from
what?
Jerry Blair.
I've
Why
had
don't
it.
you talk to them?
Let's put on the facilities, and, I mean, we can have a conversation about it, and if that's what we
Okay.
decide to do,
I support Patty's language for future action, that way we're not really
We're
declaring.
not, right, and we're not tied one way or the other,
Exactly.
but go where we need to go.
I support that language.
who's practice that? We're gonna make you write this.
I'm
We
afraid
usually
you're
do.
full, yes. I drew it up.
We tried doing them last year, and look where it got us. We were
Didn't
golden.
really work out.
Just so you know, traditionally, we come up with the ideas, and Patty keeps notes, and then she comes back with us with nicely written goals for us.
So the Grange, so what is the goal?
Evaluate the Grange property.
Evaluate the Grange property for
Future action.
future action. Perfect.
And we have to add something about building aid.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're keeping 3, 4, 5.
Do we need to number these in, I mean, my fear is that if they are numbered as opposed to voted, it looks like number 1 is the most important, and
Bullet
I'm not,
instead of number?
I would prefer that, that's personal preference.
Because, I mean,
That makes
really,
perfect sense.
I think the Grange building is low hanging fruit, we can hammer that out in a meeting or two, I think we can all come to some kind of consensus of an action to take on it.
Sure.
I would suggest maybe part of that is, some kind of public input session.
Sure.
We've already had one person contact me and ask what
Okay.
would become of it, and I said that I thought you were gonna be asking for public input.
Which would, and if we, when we do that, it would be nice to have some professional, guidance. Rather than saying, well, we've got a tree growing through it. Okay, so somebody's gonna come with a chainsaw, knock it down, and problem.
And we're good for the time.
Right, we're good.
I think you authorized Josh to take care of the trees.
The tree,
So that it's,
Yeah, we
there's
did.
ceiling caving in.
Right.
That's the issue, that.
Yeah, I think that's something that Josh could figure out the cost on relatively quickly, as long as the roof isn't.
The roof was redone, I guess, recently, like in the last 15 years. So, I mean, my opinion, not going to leak you.
can Josh do a building assessment, or is it worth us
Not
getting
much
somebody?
building.
I know,
What's the building currently utilized?
Grange uses
They
it once
heat in there.
a month.
That,
They have some materials in there, I believe, although, have they moved them on?
I don't know.
called the
who's gonna-
Grange, but somehow the school district owns it.
One room schoolhouse at one time apparently. And then it was, I don't know how many years ago, it was leased out to the Grange for $1 a year or something. Their lease is up.
Oh, okay.
So,
And there's-
when the ceiling fell in, we made the decision last time we met. That's it, we closed the building down.
Okay.
Unfortunately, the Grange out, hopefully they'll find a new home, the library or something. And have the material off the building now.
You're gonna be put in the position that we were in the village school, that, you know, you have to decide, do we wanna spend money renovating this building and for what purpose? You know, you'd be putting money towards non-educational purposes, which is not our mission here.
Do we know what size lot that is? I mean, it is it's on Pembroke Street, so if
It's
it's
right out
that
there.
small, it can be knocked down and maybe developable or,
Or who knows, with Learn Anywhere, we may have some students who may be willing to invest in working a trade there.
Might be,
Right.
the working shop, maybe be able to go in there.
Exactly, we don't
There
know, we
are
haven't
ideas.
talked about it, yeah.
All right, let's put it on the goal list.
Yeah, put it on
and
the green.
We'll discuss it in August or September. August may be a good time, it's usually quiet meeting stuff, and that's a good time for us to discuss. Okay.
I want to propose something for communication.
I was gonna propose something too, but go
Oh,
ahead.
then you go first, because maybe if this is yours, I will.
No, this is the communications, so go ahead.
Oh, all right. We have four technically, there's a state senator and 3 state reps.
Yep.
That, you know, part of what they do is represent, Pembroke. Would it make sense to extend invitations to these folks once a month? So, I mean, just almost like a rolling, each month invite one to come in and just kind of give us an overview, like put a time limit on it, 15-minute max or something like that, where they can give us an idea of what's going on in Concord, how, you know, how Pembroke would benefit, what bills are up there that are important, could be important to us. You know, is there, you know, any sort of, grants available for school funding, anything that, you know, the state is, you know, like, we know about the building aid, either you catch it on the newspaper, or it used to be Dave was always here to give us updates. So, instead of getting them every 2 weeks, it just seems that there's that communication that we should be receiving as well as giving, if that makes sense.
And vice versa, reaching out to them,
Mhm.
and asking questions of certain, you know, of certain topics that may come up.
Sure.
It's funny because I had that thought in the back of my head too, because I was listening to somebody else rant that when they were rep, no one in town ever contacted him. And I literally saw it yesterday. So I was like, you know, I mean, Dave's giving us the update
Right.
via email and everything like that, but if they could come in and even.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it would be nice to hear from folks, and especially where there's different perspectives. Sure. I mean, it's great to hear from folks that you agree with, but what about the other side? Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
they're,
They all
they're different.
represent it,
Right,
you know?
right.
And, you know, John Regan, same thing.
Right.
Like, you know, remember. In any event, that's, if possible, I would like to add that to.
I'm not quite sure I coalesced my thoughts, so bear with me. Couple items over the past year or so that have emerged somewhat regularly. We did the, risk assessment survey here at Pembroke Academy. We've done at least risk, with them on. We've done it at least a few times before they come in. We're horrified at what may be going on, and we don't do anything about it. Essentially. I might not agree with you.
No, I'm just pulling.
Okay. We heard from one of our students a few meetings ago that the culture in Pembroke Academy, according to her, may not be what we'd like it to be. We kicked around the idea of hiring social workers for Pembroke Academy, potentially for TRS. Would it make sense to build a goal around these types of issues?
Providing support, additional
Student support, maybe concentrate on the academy. I don't know if we can concentrate the entire district at the same time. We may want to concentrate at one spot. If anyone can help me out with wording, I'd be thrilled.
Well, you know, this is one of my goals I was gonna bring up tonight, and I brought up in the past about the culture climate survey. Culture climate survey is going out to the teachers, going out to the students, and possibly even going out to the community, the parents of students here, and incorporating that. So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that does go on that the principals and administrators don't know about. You know, teachers have issues that they may be holding their tongue, not bringing these things up. You know, some kind of blind survey like that. Students like Jolene, you know, having an outlet to put their concerns forward. And even parents doing the same thing. You know, blind. You know, nobody knows who anybody is, so people can actually honestly speak their mind. And so everything comes out in the open at that point in time. And even at that point, we as a board can realize our goals when it comes to academics or, you know, the youth risk assessment, things like that, and the administration as well. So.
But I think the academics and I mean, though it's mental health, I still haven't come up with a good term here.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah.
So I did some research on some other district policies to bring forward, let them kind of borrow from somebody else, so we didn't have to come up with that terminology. So I think it might hit on what you're talking about, not what Jean's talking about as well. As far as culture support, the expansion of positive behavior interventions and support, and similar culture and climate programs in all schools. Criteria for success, I like this because they have a measurement of how they know they've accomplished this. Decrease in disciplinary incidents and increase in sense of security and safety based on survey feedback. Another one, and this is under safety, increased use of mindfulness, social emotional learning at all grade levels. And how they know they've reached that and done a good job is acquired student skills to balance emotional regulation as determined by a behavioral health intervention team at each building. As far as one thing they touched on, I know Jean has mentioned the survey before, under communication, elicit parent feedback for various school issues via electronic surveys, criteria for success, responsiveness to parent feedback.
I think this issue's big enough. I think we need to come up with a bullet here. I think we need to really, if we're gonna attack this, we're gonna need to spend time.
Yeah, I think our goals may be a little bit more general, but then when we get to the nuts and bolts next year, that's the
type of stuff. You're exactly where I want to be.
Okay.
And we need to determine what we may need to do.
And if I can put caveat in whatever the goal is, so I'm trying to work with this a little bit in my head to focus on the culture, you know, in the school district, and then kind of bullet point to include communication with parents, more direct line of communication with the student body from to and from the board, and things of that nature.
No.
Not yet. Good.
Backing it up to more general, or safety, maintain a safe, supportive, and nurturing environment in schools, allowing students and staff to focus on education without distraction. Big
And that
idea.
could be, we could use that as our safety, we have a safety bullet. Something along those lines would.
Okay.
I
If you're looking for a big idea and then individual action items to do it.
But I'm also, from my standpoint, the culture piece, there are a couple of pieces, and again, I didn't wordsmith it well, and I'll admit it. I think it's definitely that culture piece, which we've kind of heard about off and on this year, the bullying thing, the overall culture of primarily this facility. But then also the mental health and risky behavior pieces. I don't know if those are taken together or if they're taken in two different pieces.
My concern, I think that those are all great goals. I wonder if they should be board goals or if they should be administrative goals. And I know that it's up to us it's up to us to fund or to support those goals through funding. I don't think it's up to the board, at least it hasn't been the time that I've been on the board. It hasn't been up to the board to orchestrate. Okay, it's been up to us to give administration the tools to carry out those endeavors. It should be, I think, up to administration to make sure, and all of the business, but we're focusing on PA. It's up to the administration of PA to hear what the students are saying and to respond to it. Is one student speaking for one student, for 10 students, or for 400 students? We don't know that. We heard one student. My fear is that as a board, we heard that one student jump on in, something is horribly wrong and we've got to fix it. I don't think it's up to we to fix it. I think we should remind the people who are closer to the ground that they should at least see if there's an issue, and if there's an issue, then they should be addressing it, coming to us and saying, like last year, we need social workers, we need another guidance counselor. We have this vision, we have this plan, and this is how we want to attack things that we're hearing.
I know we haven't done this in the past, but bear with me here. Is it unreasonable for the board to instruct our administrators and add something to their goals?
That makes
No,
perfect.
it's not inappropriate.
But listen, this is something that we've identified and
Yeah.
we want you.
I think
folks
that's
to work on.
perfect. We should be doing that.
Yeah.
You're right, we probably shouldn't be looking into
Yeah.
culture, it's probably not our job. But I think us sending the directive down to the principal is reasonable.
Obviously, when I brought up the culture survey, it was the board that instructed the administration at Shaker Regional to, and the superintendent worked with UNH to design this survey that went out to everyone, parents, teachers, and students. So the guidance thing, this is what, like you said, we've seen. And how often does that youth risk assessment come out?
Every year.
Yeah, I'd say, that's gotta be stepped up a little bit.
Well, that comes out through the statewide, if I recall.
But remember, last year, based on what we heard, we said, okay, we need social workers. How far did that go? I mean,
I think part of the issue that we see is, yeah, we need this, but we're not willing to dump anything in order to get this. So it's a matter of prioritizing.
I get the sense that it wasn't, Susie, that there was some input from Susie at Hill School, but I think John and Paul actually, were kind of like, I think we've got this under control at the moment. That's kind of the feeling I got, because we did actually put it into the budget, to move it forward, and then.
But then was the general
we absolutely need someone at the high school. I think the concern at the elementary level was sharing someone and the difficulty of having that person going back and forth.
And I think that was from John too, wasn't it?
Yeah,
He didn't want to have one.
Right, and I think Susie's, interested in kind of seeing how things shake out with having everybody in the same building to see, does that put more of a burden on the guidance counselors?
I remember that, yeah.
That kind of thing.
That I remember.
And I think when we asked what they would be willing to give up to get a social worker, we need so many touches, like, okay, at the last second, we don't even know what that would look like. But I just came back from the superintendent's conference, past couple of days, and that's what we were talking about. We were talking about culture, we were talking about social emotional learning, we were talking about social workers. Other superintendents are talking about putting them in the budget as well, because we can't, it's easy to say we're not a social service agency,
right,
but the kids cannot access learning unless they're in a good space, and they don't come to school in a good space.
And I remember that conversation too. This isn't the job of the schools. I think that was Tom, and both of you.
I completely agree on this.
Yeah.
I would have, you talked to me 8 years ago, I would have said absolutely not.
So.
Now I'm advocating for it. Good.
I would just I've done a lot of research and reading lately. There is research that supports that a lot of anxiety that kids experience is based on their experience at school. So I think that where children are in school the majority of the day, we have to see to their whole well-being. not just academic. So I think it's important, if we're going to create this culture, we need to help create safe schools where everyone's welcome.
I think April's right, because that ties into academics.
Oh, sure.
Absolutely.
Kids can't learn, or at least learn as well, or
That's why
effectively.
they coined social emotional learning.
Right,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
can you develop a message for the
Well,
administration?
we
You know what our
actually-
message is?
we actually have our leadership retreat, in 2 weeks. This topic was on our conversation, so we're doing kind of 1, 3, 5-year planning, and this was on our radar. So we can, I don't know if we'll finish it all in one day, but at some point, we can come back to you with how that was incorporated into the administrative goals and.
Which is the fact that it is a board, it's not a goal, I don't know,
A board
goal, but
initiative?
a board initiative.
Yeah.
Yes, it's definitely a board initiative. Absolutely.
I just have a question, being new on the board, is, it's easy to create goals, but how are we really going to evaluate if those goals are being met? Are we going to dig into that later? Because it's okay to have a grandiose idea, but we actually want these to be carried out, but we need some kind of tool to say where we can for.
We lost track of these obviously last year. In years past, we used to bring these, this used to be an agenda item.
Right.
Usually every other, I want to say every other meeting, this, ended up an agenda item. We went back through these and kind of checked out, what have we done for each one of these?
Okay,
And at certain points of the year, we get down and say, listen, we're probably just not gonna get to this, so let's not put any effort into it, let's roll it over into it in the subsequent year and concentrate our efforts year to year.
Okay.
The chances are whatever we put on the sheet, we're probably not gonna get to all of it. Well, hopefully we will, but we may not get to all of it. So I would suggest we go back to that.
In fairness, there was a time when we would do the goals and stick them away and
Yeah.
come back the next June and say, how did
Not a
we do
bad
on
question.
this? Or, so it was an annual thing, and obviously, as you're suggesting, not effective.
okay.
But I think we kind of been, I mean, in
Well,
fairness,
we
the
did
budget
stuff
just
last
kind of, derailed mostly every
Yeah,
other.
the
focus
budget
we
killed
had.
us, and then we pretty much shuffled down last year,
Yeah.
just to kind of recruit, so the last couple of years have been great,
Yeah.
but
But
before that, we were doing really well,
we
reviewing
were
them on a regular
periodic.
basis.
Okay,
And I suggest we go back to that.
Yeah.
was that a agenda item?
It was,
Yes.
Okay,
agenda item, and we go down through it, and we pull the goals back out, and we go through it and
okay,
discuss with everybody in the room, where are we?
okay.
What have we done here? I think we go
So
back
at
to
that point, like, action items can be taken up and talk about resources that are needed? Okay,
Yep, Josh has
If
got
we
an
need to
item,
flex
and
it
Josh,
out.
you need
Mhm.
another travel to do that, or whatever it is,
okay.
we can have that discussion.
And so it's the hope that we would return to that model?
I
Oh,
think
yes.
that,
Definitely.
definitely should return that one. Because it was effective, it was.
Okay, that's great, thank
I would think once a month would.
Yeah, I think everybody had every other meeting, which
Yeah.
is essentially once a month.
you. Okay.
So what do we have?
We haven't talked about budget.
We don't want to talk about it.
So do we wanna go down items, because I just had, a couple things we were talking about, were we on communication or safety, or do we wanna kind of stick to those?
We have to, I'm sorry, can I just interrupt you?
Yeah,
just a second? We've got school contracts this year,
Negotiation.
Traditionally, that is on there when they negotiate, yeah.
Yeah, in the past, you had something like successfully negotiated contracts, but I think that's always the goal. So I don't know,
We need to fix it.
yeah, you know what I mean, that is the goal, I mean.
I'm good with that.
Understood.
Okay. All right, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just wondering, like, instead of kind of jumping around, do we wanna try to tackle each kind of, like, communication safety budget, kind of stick to those grandiose ideas?
So is that, we're good, right?
Okay, all right, I'm just trying to keep a track and,
Communication, so last year we were gonna develop a social media presence, that didn't happen.
No, yeah, all of our schools have.
Yeah.
Did we,
For the board.
wasn't
Oh,
this
you mean
developed
the
the
board,
board?
yeah,
The board wanted to develop a presence.
Yeah, I think that we kind of ran into a lot of problems.
Just about that whole
Trying-
forum thing,
Right,
Yeah,
we're,
yeah.
Talking back and forth.
Right.
Go ahead.
so, just kind of goes along with that, but use of social media to promote school board meetings and positive accomplishments within the district. Like, Like, if we limited our communications on social media to that,
There is a website for PA, I know that, PA Compliment, and I don't know who runs it. There's a PA Compliment for good accomplishments of students and organizations and groups. I don't know if that's school run or independently run by a group, school event. So that might be something we can expand on.
okay,
Piggyback on what April said, and kind of the same thought, I wonder, I don't know what all comes with Facebook forums, but a Facebook account, Twitter account, whatever we want to have, if it, with the understanding that it is strictly factual. It is, here's when the next meeting is, click the link for the agenda. Here's the minutes from last night, that type of thing only.
and turn off comments.
I'd say, can we turn, I'm not savvy enough, can we turn comments off so people can say, you guys?
I think what you,
On most platforms, I think it depends on the platform.
It's not like Facebook,
Yeah, I believe.
shut the comments off.
at least on a certain, if we posted something, and you could go in and turn off comments, because I have to do it, right, sometimes. But you can, if something's posted and, if people get unruly, I can turn off comments.
But yeah, you can, and if we were the ones that were, that was our, right, you
Yeah.
can post something, turn off comments every time you post something, and it could just be for information's sake, just another way for people to know.
For some reason, I'd say we got legal advice on
Oh, we
this at
did.
one time, all I got did.
You can't have a page, it would have to be off of something at school, which means somebody has to run it and moderate it, so it can't, you guys can't have a page.
Right, I remember, can
You can put information out.
Can you turn that information back on, that thing, like, we
Well,
did
you-
look in,
But I think a social media presence is still a good goal.
Yeah, the social.
Obviously, we're not gonna hammer it out
Social
tonight,
media policy about having anything tied to your personal account, so it, somebody can come up with a mechanism and say, okay, we want a group off of a school Facebook page, a school board group, and then somebody needs to be authorized to be putting out the information, whatever it is, whatever the information is that you want to put out, and be able to shut off the comments. I don't know enough about these, or I know,
Going back,
I know you can create groups.
we can figure all that out, I think, as far as goals, the goals there,
decide. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
I've got another one as far as communication, I've looked at a few other boards here and there just to see minutes and things like that. I find our principal reports helpful, but somewhat lacking. I certainly don't want to put a ton of work on their plates. But sometimes a 30-second blurb of, hey, there was a concert last week and there's bake sale next week. And I would like to know more of what's going on in schools. I'm thinking of the week that there was a graffiti problem or something at TRS that wasn't brought up at the board meeting whatsoever. For the reason, it's just an example. I wonder if we could have a goal of establishing a somewhat more substantive principal reporting process. I don't want them to have to sit down for 3 hours every week and write us that big paper and things like that. It would be, some common categories, things that we want to know about.
I think having common categories might help, so that they would know exactly what it is we want them to report out on.
Some things like disciplinary stuff, like we.
Right, and sometimes, I know, there's details
Sometimes
we can't give out.
we can't know, because if it goes to some kind of a hearing, we're gonna be the jury on that, and we can't know the information ahead of time, so there's some rules about that.
Just to piggyback on Andy's point, there's information that goes out, I'm assuming via ALMA, to families that we as a school board member may not receive if we don't have a child in that school. And it would be very helpful if we did have that
You
action.
should, so if you don't have it, you should, so we ask the schools to add the school board members, and I don't know how they do it, if they put, like, if you're a fake parent or something.
I don't get much. I got, after that incident, I was added to a list.
Yeah, if you're missing.
On his April, I don't get anything.
I don't get
Right, no.
Sometimes you get bumped
I get,
off at the end of the year too, because you're not tied to the student, so I can't.
I get Hill,
do they need to sign into anything?
TRS.
No, it would just
I
go
go
to your email.
So maybe that would be a piece of communication, is reaching out via, maybe the school district webpage, that for folks who don't have students in school who want to receive updates, that they can be added.
Yeah, we talked about that before.
You
You
can't,
can't
you
do
have to
that.
have, it's just through,
Yeah.
so you can't, you know, if you just
Community
put a
members.
random person, you can't put them in your student information center.
So,
There's no
oh,
way that it's linked to that.
okay, there's,
We don't have any kind of
there's no mechanism,
open, no,
because I'm not gonna have access to any grade book.
no, but I think they added you as a staff member. I
Is that
think
how you do it?
I think that's how they did it.
Oh.
I'm not sure.
But I shouldn't have access to that.
No, so that your name is on the call list,
Right.
so that you're, you know, send this alert to all staff members, and I think they entered you guys somehow so that you would get tied to the group. I don't know how they did it.
But isn't that kind of remiss that, I mean, what if I'm a grandparent, which it could be, and I'm, you know, need to know that, you know, the buses are gonna be late by 20 minutes.
Softball practice got canceled.
Softball practice get canceled, whatever, you know?
I can't answer the question, I need more information. So speaking.
Yeah, but I mean, but
yes,
it just seems that, you know, like April said, for those of us, and I've been saying this for years, you know, for those of us that are not part of the system, we're part of the community. And we're relied upon, or it's hoped that we're out there supporting the schools.
But does Jimmy Jones down the street, like, kids in the district need to know that there's no softball practice?
He might.
Well, and I think,
How
so
do we
there,
assume that they don't?
right, there are definitely mechanisms to do that, I don't know if they cost money, I don't know, you know, but there are services where, and it's completely automated, it's not something somebody here would have to even really maintain. Hey, go to this website, you know, off the school webpage, click here, enter your email address, now you're on the list. If you're getting too much stuff you don't like, you hit the unsubscribe button, it takes your name off the list.
We've all done it.
Yeah, exactly, it could be completely automated, like one call now,
Right.
pretty much.
Yeah, like municipal.
And then it would, the only part that the school would have to have in it is what information gets sent to that mailing list. Right.
I'm sorry, so the big ideas here, just support both, would be maybe even backing up and just saying that such as principal reports improving, you know, somehow, better communication between the school board and administration, and then, or more accessible, whatever. And then I do support the community idea, because what if there's a play going on in school? What if you just want to support the kids in your community? You don't have to have a kid in play. We have to get the community on our side. We're losing this battle because the community is not on our side. We need community schools. We need to let them know when we have things, so they can come in and see what's going
Yeah,
on.
and I think it's just being, cognizant of the time we live in, right? Because it used to be, if there was a school play coming up, yeah, the kids went to the library and town hall, and paper signs up, and it's just not how it's done anymore, but you're right, and just letting everybody in town know what's going on here, and it's completely, again, optional, if they don't wanna sign up, they don't sign up, but there's people that are, this is the same people that are, you know, bummed about village school getting closed, are the people that have been here forever and that wanna come and support all the things that the school does, and the easier we can get information, then I think the better.
So I think that's still, I mean, under development,
Yeah.
I think we're okay, we're just gonna have to, we'll have to knock the details out. Anything else?
Just, I had a question, is that one call now? Is that
It's
something-
our student information system,
Okay,
but
so-
it's linked to,
So I do get some stuff from one call now.
yep,
I get
that's where, that's.
That's what we're talking
yeah,
about?
nothing, I don't think anything comes from Alma, it's all one call now.
Okay.
That's about the word,
Right.
those other.
You would get emails from Alma,
You do?
yes, notification emails, we should.
You do get
Grades
the
are
school
ready,
closed.
yeah, my wife just like,
But you'd
grades
have to be
are ready,
listening to
midterm
that
reports,
number
you
for each
you
building.
probably gotta come from Alma. Yeah. But the board wouldn't necessarily be anything come from Alma.
Well, what about school, but why shouldn't we? Like, when that announcement came out to the parents about what happened at TRS, you were in the dark.
Well, I don't know if that comes from Alma.
No, that's not, Alma's just
That did
great.
not,
That's just.
The great, like, where the
Okay.
grades are, one call now is the mechanism for sending.
so messages
information.
can be sent from Alma as well. I mean, I'm not sure, we can dig back through, but whatever communications parents are getting, at whatever member of the school, we need to be CC'd, we need to know what's going
And I
on.
think you should be, you're not, obviously, but we can work on that. Because I get most of those.
And then I'm partial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you get kids, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get everything.
That's just,
For some reason,
Anyway,
I get zero.
so,
social media,
communication, updates.
The parent survey, for communication,
What's that?
the parent survey,
I think that was gonna be.
I
Safety
think
or-
that was gonna be through the director
safety?
down to.
No,
Oh, you mean category?
Instruct administration to put forward, some sort of mechanism, whether it's a survey, however it shakes out, we get input back from teachers. But it wasn't gonna be one of our goals, we were
Oh, okay.
giving guidance to do something.
All right. So, people good with communication? Like I said, Patty come up with some goals for us under that category, and we can review them on it. Safety?
Did we talk about,
Jen Jones, that's right.
what was it, like sand table kind of thing?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Emergency drill?
We did, yep, so we did that on June, we did the tabletop in December, and then on June 20th, we didn't participate, we observed the fires, and we did their drill here.
Yeah.
So we're preparing for a full drill that we would be involved in probably in November. They didn't feel like they were ready yet, they wanted to go through a practice, so, the, person from Homeland Security came and called out 3 scenarios for them to respond to. For instance, there's, shots fired in the library, and then they had to come in and there were cars laying around, like, gunshot wounds to the head, unfortunately, right? So they had to find the cars, they had to establish their warm zones, they had to figure out when the ambulance could come in, when the person had been caught. They actually went through every motion of this. They had someone in a vehicle that was serving as dispatch, so like if you were talking to the county, they were in the vehicle serving as the dispatch, so that they ran the whole thing from start to finish. And they did a great job.
so the 1 November plan for like students for here?
That will be voluntary. I think when you do a full scale, you have to get like 85 volunteers, so you have to.
I know Merrimack Valley did one this past year,
Yeah.
and it left a big impact on my wife, at least it was like, she had to lock down, she had to decide, she got a closet in the library, she had to decide if she wanted to lock her and the kids in there, or to take her somewhere else, and it was like, they did it like 100% as real as they could, so they didn't go back to school that day after the drill, like they set emergency calls to the parents, obviously they told them what happened, but they had arranged locations where they were picking this up, and it was Concord Police was there, with the whole.
So the only visitors allowed, I was there and the principals were there, and we set up in the main office with the cameras, and we practiced how we had 1 fire radio and 1 police radio in the conference room with us, and we practiced, how we might assist them with our logging in remotely with our security system. And there was a couple of times when we were able to spot someone running through the halls and immediately radio them, and they just went by and ran to the library, and we were able to send them. So it was really, well done. We had a lot from it.
So would that translate to other buildings? Like, that was done here.
Yeah, it
So
was
we
more
still have-
about the process than the location.
Okay.
And this is the biggest campus, and unfortunately, more likely to have an issue given the age of students. So that's where we're gonna focus our first one. We haven't practiced on that. We have done other, drills in our elementary schools, but we've never done a full,
Go back to Steve.
It might be safety, it might be facilities, I don't know, and obviously it's a current topic, and I don't know if it's a board thing, but, the transportation, traffic, morning time.
Thing that's going on out here, you mean?
Yeah, and I mean, even before the circle got closed, it was a thing. I know that I think maybe Glenn Hanson told me that there used to be discussions about trying to do one out there, but there's a property cut or something. I think even if nothing comes to fruition, I think it would be a good use of our time to at least investigate possibilities. Because it doesn't even take morning drop-off. Coming here for a middle school concert and trying to get out of this place is a nightmare. I think it would be a worthwhile thing to try to.
I think just attacking flow of traffic from PA is probably the only bullet item on the safety we want to attack this year.
I think that, what we should do for a big idea for you guys would be to have Jenny come and talk to you about the traffic flow studies that have been done. So we've been looking at this and we've been, working with the state where they're anxious to see what happens with the change in the traffic flow, with having the two schools merged.
Right.
So that's why we held off on staggering start times. She has mapped out a plan that she would like to try that, minimizes spots where kids are crossing roads and going in front of traffic, and then minimizes the number. You know, out here, there were like literally 5 different ways cars were coming in and out,
Right.
and kids
Oh,
were
I love
crossing.
that circle is closed.
But
Everybody's
the-
speaking
you
out
know-
about that, but being able to come out of there and turn right,
Right.
there's another driveway right here is
Yeah.
not a safe thing.
Really only about 6
So
people
there-
that just keep complaining over and over again.
That's like a temporary, that was a temporary, let's just see what's
Right,
on the
right, sure.
field, but you know, there are other parts to this, and there's a plan that we've been talking through and
Good.
working on that we should bring to you when we have more. You know, part of it, and that Josh doesn't think can be accomplished this year, is, actually numbering parking spots. We've had a lot of conversation about minimizing the kids that are buzzing around trying to find a parking spot.
Right,
You know, get your assigned spot. We've talked about changing where staff park so that they're over here, and so the kids aren't crossing in front of, traffic coming across. Theoretically, they would already be in the building.
Well, tell Josh, put numbers out there. Get someone on the contract in the next 3 days.
Yeah.
Give me a bucket.
I mean, it wouldn't cost that
Yellow
much.
paint and a brush, I got it covered.
Yep.
It really wouldn't cost that much.
Stencil now, but.
We talked about, you know, changing, and having a one-way flow. So Jenny she's come up with some really good ideas, that.
No left turns allowed.
Make West Street.
So-
Academy look more.
Traffic, evaluate traffic safety,
The 45th time,
Traffic pattern.
On there.
all schools, all buildings.
Yeah.
Well, I think so, yeah.
Sure, also,
Yeah.
okay, I think that's fine, I think that's a good idea.
What time, so PA starts at 7:30, or,
It's not necessarily the start time as it is the pickup and drop off, when
No,
they start flowing in.
no, that's not, where I was going with 7:30, right? Is,
7:20 something.
okay, I don't know, I probably got my kids here late all, the time anyway.
You were sitting in traffic.
Right, and what time is PRS? 8?
8:05.
So,
I
Yeah,
know,
there's
No, they're later than we are.
You guys are 7:50?
Our kids start, well, next year it'll be 8.
Right.
I thought they were like 8:20 to 3.
so my
I think it's
thought,
when staff are on duty is different than the start time. Cause we're 7:30.
I guess bottom line, is we have all of this information that we need to share with you at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I was just, kind of going with communication here and safety. I know numerous times I can't take it anymore and drop my kids off at GRS and made them walk. It's what, a couple hundred yards? And it's,
This is a big conversation, we
I
spent
know.
hours on this.
yeah, I know, it's not,
So I think it makes
Let's
sense.
put the bullet in and
yeah, I mean.
we're gonna have a lot of conversations this year.
Communication wise, getting it out there, hey, your option, if you don't wanna have road rage in the morning, is to drop your kid off at GRS.
Oh, a lot of
You might not want them doing that though.
A lot of people drop them off at the church.
Yeah,
So, let's
Okay.
establish the
Yeah.
bullet and
Yeah.
we'll come back.
Take from there.
This might be one of those things that we're gonna need to take a goal every meeting to discuss it, we really want to make this big, because we have some big stuff that you want.
I'm gonna be leaving at 9 because my daughter has some car, so we're taking me out. So I just want to put that on there.
It's all, we're on safety.
Safety,
Okay, thanks.
want to add anything else on the safety?
No,
think that's
sorry, I
a
was
good
looking
chunk.
at something else.
Okay, the last one that we have, well, you want to do academics, budget. Is the next. Again, I think this
That's
goes
always
along
a
with the other one, this is always a goal.
After the word support, I would like to add and sustain.
I'll be taking on here all the other part.
I mean, it kind of goes without saying, it is what we do anyhow, but I think sometimes, and I keep going back to the social workers, everybody agreed that, everybody at the time agreed at this table, we needed it. But it didn't go anywhere because we couldn't give anything up. That's not how you sustain education. Maybe how you support it, you don't sustain it.
I want to say that we,
I mean, Tom and I agreed on that, I'm sorry.
I-
3-2 vote, we went down on it, but he and I agreed.
I could be wrong, but I swear that we agreed that we would even stick that in there without cutting anything last year.
We put them in, you
We
added
put it in.
Yeah.
We had it in,
Right.
we didn't cut it.
We didn't, yeah.
No, but then
We
when
stuck
it
it in
came
there.
time to, this is what the budget committee.
But it wasn't from here, it was from over
Yeah.
there. It
Because
wasn't
they
from
were
us,
gonna have
Pat.
to cut
But yeah,
something.
you couldn't give anything else to get them.
Right.
That was, it wasn't
But
just
we-
an addition, it was, okay.
No, it was an addition.
Right,
And they
right.
said that we don't believe that you need to put this addition on the taxpayers, we don't need it. They
That's
said,
what I was referring to earlier.
am I wrong?
That's what I was referring to earlier, yes.
That we put the money in, and they asked us to take the money back out. Because they didn't believe that they could, that the way that we had it set up with the number of people, they didn't know that they could manage it properly and really make an impact. I think that was the argument that was generally made.
Yeah.
We were giving you
So
the
basically,
truth.
we weren't giving them enough.
Right.
Okay.
But I mean, you can't have everything all at once necessarily, Pat. I mean,
Well, if the crisis is as large as folks are saying, then yeah, things
they
need
should
to
ask
be
for,
due.
they should ask for a third. They should
We
ask.
ask for anything. Look at the lights we have in the room. Okay,
These are new, these are LED.
are they?
Yeah.
All right.
Bad example.
Okay, that example, they look the same, so I.
They reuse the same pictures, that's why.
Well, that's terrific.
Sorry,
The wires
Pat.
are still, no, I mean, the wires are still hanging, from what, to me, it was the same exact light. If it's not the same exact light, but it is the same fixture.
It's the same picture as from my phone.
Okay.
So,
We're
but
making
I hear you, Pat.
Yeah.
I mean, but, you know, last year, we're kind of paid in the quarter by, I mean, I hate to say, the principal's kind of paid us in the quarter, by saying, hey, look, we
Okay.
don't need it. It's hard for us to go to that with the public if we're not getting support from the, principal.
I would say the high school is absolutely not one that's gonna be needed. The elementary, I think we need to wait a year and see what it's like having the buildings together.
So then maybe Paul needs to be a little bit more clear
Yes.
about his
We'll
intention.
talk about that better.
Thank you.
I mean, it's hard for us to do our job. We got waffling going on over there, it's really hard for us to do our job. What we do. I mean, it's hard enough for us to go and ask for more money to begin with, but if we get mixed messages, good.
No, it's just gonna, if we're gonna keep the language in there, just for the sake of doing it, maybe add a word at the end that say, in the most transparent way possible, or something of that nature. I mean, everything's public, everybody can come already, but I think throwing that in, someone's reading our published rules, just kind of an invitation that you're interested to show up.
Or go to the website, I mean, and that makes it really clear that we are being clear, it's our goal to be clear, and
Right.
Or send an email.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I put that up there, you know, people are complaining, and I actually stated, I said, have you sent an email? to anybody. And that's right when everything shuts down. You send an email. I haven't received any emails from anybody, you know, so one woman emailed me to meet for coffee and then she never. Well, no, it was a legitimate parent in the town. You know, so, yeah, so,
For a couple of weeks for that. Anything else on the budget? Steve, what do you?
Okay.
Okay. We have added an academic category. Does anyone wanna propose we cut a bullet here? Go ahead. I was hoping you would.
Sure. I have, two different ones. Short and sweet is, Pembroke Schools will guide students on pathways of learning to a future of limitless possibilities. I have a longer one.
More mission.
I'll need you to send me
Yeah.
the language if you guys are gonna use it.
Sure. Provide a learning environment that increases achievement in the areas of academic, intellectual, physical, and social growth that meets the needs of all students.
More measurable.
yeah.
Yeah, I like the second one. I like something that we can measure by, you know,
Good point.
whether it's
Okay.
having the grades or
Okay.
attendance or whatever.
You wanted to bring your dog back before.
April, would you email?
Yes, I'll email you that tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right, that's probably a lot of goals. I don't know if we want to add too much else. Everyone good? We'll have Patty write them up, and we'll take a look at them again in August. We'll send them ahead of time, whenever you get them done. Okay, we're ready to move on?
I got an off-topic thing, going back to previous conversation, I showed that the Grange sits on 0.31 acres.
I didn't think that lot was very big. Oh, on there, that's building lot?
And we
So
can
we
make
make
it
It's 135 feet of road frontage and 85 feet,
155 feet or something?
but 135.
So you 125 built? 120 built?
Yeah.
So they, yeah, building lot.
Sure, tear it down, see what happens.
Well, if somebody wants a building, like the other building that was moved to the town property, couldn't this one also be moved to the town property?
It's just a brick building, I think it's.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Other credit is.
Good.
I just have a question, since we're talking about goal, setting. I did go back and I see there's a current policy, ADA, BA, which is school board goals, 2007, 2008. That policy listed very specific goals. I'm not sure if that's something that we want to do, or when I did do some research. When I did do some research, there, many other school districts list things more generally. So I don't know, after we do our goal setting, if that's the policy we want to revisit.
Yeah, might be a policy we should want to delete. To be honest,
Okay.
I don't know that we need a policy around goals or that goals.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's just stick it on the agenda for review. Then we can decide to add to it or get rid of it. We've gotten rid of some in the past too, that are just.
There are some
antiquated.
very old sitting there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's 12 years old.
It's a great way to do house calls.
Yeah, it is, thank you.
Kathy has a spreadsheet, but
We stumble across some every now and
I
then.
try to get approved, get pushed. Yeah, you don't end up getting the only one put out there.
All right. What else? We got one more?
We
No.
have the data governance and security, policy is to be approved by June 30th, so just under the
Okay.
wire, we really need that
All right, sure.
taken care of.
Motion to approve, Gene, discussion on the data governance and security policy.
Oh, man, it's been a while, but I actually did a couple months ago. I have to know what that actually means. Sorry.
That's fine, go ahead.
Anybody remember what date these things got posted to us?
Is there a
March?
policy?
And it would have been in the meeting, and then there would be a policy folder in that meeting.
Which meeting was it?
I think it was 3 days. Hey, there we go.
You got it. You got it.
I got
There was one that was, that had a lot.
Yeah, maybe it's DHAP, right?
Yeah.
Was there a policy folder in your meeting tonight?
No.
DHAP, wait, this is the data governance and security?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, sorry.
ahead.
Well, okay. Oh, okay, then go ahead. No, I was gonna buy some time for you.
No, so I was just.
No, go ahead, you may have
the-
time.
I don't think any of this is too crazy. So it says, in section C, the business administrator is the district's alternate, and will assume the responsibilities of the ISO when the ISO is not available. I think my question just generally was, is Amber aware that that's part of this, and is that something that she's prepared to do? And then, H.
Okay, I have something in E.
Okay, go ahead.
Data managers, all district administrators are data managers. So there's a lot of district administrators. And these folks are going to monitor employee access to data. I just don't know, it sounds like a full-time job. I mean, does that mean Big Brother is watching every time a faculty member gets on a computer, or what
So,
exactly?
The way I would read that from an IT person perspective,
Okay, please.
is monitor is a term in that, the ultimate responsibility for them being on the appropriate distribution lists, handling their data sensitively, not distributing things where they shouldn't, because the administrators are basically the supervisors of all the staff. That if a staff member does something inappropriate, the administrator has some responsibility to help make sure that stuff is not happening. That's how I read it.
Okay, so you didn't have a problem.
Right, I didn't take monitor as, hey, I'm gonna watch every email
Okay.
that you send. It's just basically enforcing the data security policies that the district has to say, when my employee don't do stupid things.
Right, no, I'm just thinking of maybe the head of the science department who needs to order certain types of chemicals. Or, you know, if that information appears to be questionable, you know, that all of a sudden,
Calls in
For-
saying, hey, I sent your orders.
looking at these websites, you know, yeah.
We do not monitor employees, and any site with questionable content is blocked.
Okay. Having said that, I've had the RSA blocked.
Yeah, there's,
Yeah.
I know, sometimes the filters.
Yeah, well, the
Yeah.
632A, the sexual assault crime,
Oh.
every
Yeah,
year, every.
It targets a word,
Yeah,
anything with that
exactly.
word in it.
I teach
legit
criminal
or
law,
not.
You gotta ask for it to be waived and,
every
access.
year, yeah.
The last one that I had was section H under training, is that happening, I guess? Because ISO will provide appropriate training to employees who have access to confidential or critical information to prevent unauthorized disclosure of breaches of security. Is that something that we have in place?
That is something that the tech coordinators are working on over the summer, and how to make that happen, because this is yet another training that.
Right,
requires
right, and
all
that's
that.
exactly, coming from a person that has to take CJIS training, PCI training, all these stupid things every year to get my search renewed. It's annoying, but if we adopt a policy that says it's gonna happen, we gotta make sure it's
Right,
happening.
our expectation is it is happening.
That's our famous unfunded mandate,
Right.
that everything keeps getting added from the state, that we need to provide training with no time or resources to do it, so.
But it'll have to be done.
That's all I have.
Awesome.
Everybody good? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
There you go. No public comment? Board of Review on non-public session under New Hampshire RSA 91-A:3, semicolon 2B on roll call vote.
Could we do C as well, I'm sorry.
And,
As well. April?
Aye, yeah.
Steve?
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would like to nominate Mike Buda as, dean of students at Pembroke Academy.
How's the board?
motion approved.
Jane?
Is that Amy?
Yes.
Any questions, comments? All in favor? Okay.
We have a staff resignation of Teresa Snyder.
How's your board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
See, questions, comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Get a motion to allow Patty to approve future hires between now and August. Second, next meeting.
Motion to approve.
Right.
Oh, I did, motion to approve.
Oh, okay.
Had to be allowed to,
Process new hires.
Yes.
Between now and August.
exactly.
Second question, so why we're doing this? Just so we don't have to meet, so, Ms. Schneider has,
I do have a question.
okay,
My question would be about, would it only be to fill positions that are currently available, or if new positions were created?
or new position created. We will not create any new position, but if somebody else quits between now and then, she'll have the ability to post them and
To
fill
fill
them
an
as well.
existing position.
And,
Okay, yes,
yeah,
So it would be to fill
Okay.
existing position.
Existing,
Okay,
right,
yeah.
we're not creating any new position.
okay, okay.
I think that's, it's closer to the drive anyway, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
and we have, for instance, we have a couple of open positions now that haven't been filled, so we're